Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. Thank you so much for joining me for today's tutorial. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how we can do scoring with our Cricut Joy Xtra, but this also works with your Joy. The directions are the same. You may just need to make your design a little bit smaller if you're using your Joy. This is a really easy process, and score lines can come in handy both for folding things, but also for lining up designs on paper. So I made this fun banner that's got a couple layers, and by using those score lines, it just helps me line everything up so everything looks nice and even. You guys know, if you've watched me before, paper designs are just not my jam. I'm not very good with them. It's because I don't do them very often. So just remember that practice always will help you get better, but those score lines are so helpful when it comes to lining stuff up. Now for this tutorial, you are going to need the Cricut foil tool for the Joy machines, and I will link that down below for you. And I'll also link all the paper that we're using, plus the Joy and the Joy Xtra. And before we get started, be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. Let's go ahead and get started.
This is one of my favorite things for when I work with paper crafts, especially when I do things like banners or stuff that needs to be lined up really nicely. This is definitely a game changer and such a lifesaver for me. So we're going to be working with our Cricut Joy, and if you didn't know, the Cricut Joy does not have a scoring tool. But I want to show you how I use the Joy Xtra to make banners like this and use the scoring tool to help me line up my designs. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to resize this because I think I can go a little bit bigger using my Joy Xtra. So you can kind of expand this. These designs are all in their own individual piece or group, so it will allow you to resize this all together and you can make a pretty big banner. So you'll see here that we have the individual groups, and each individual group is each of the banner pieces. So this one here is the E. Now I could ungroup everything if I wanted to, but if you just want to see how big one of your pieces is, you can just select that group, and you'll see that these are about 3.3 inches wide and 4 inches high, which is a pretty good size for a banner. So we're going to stick with that size. Now, when I do this, I need to line up two pieces onto this banner. I need to first line up the smaller flag, but then I also need to line up the letter. So the way that I do this is I create layers of different scoring technique. So what we're going to do, just to make everything a little easier for me, I like to go and I'm going to hide these hearts for just a minute. It just gives me a little less to look at and a little less to think about when I'm doing this, because you're going to have to do this in a couple of stages. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hide the other groups. I'm going to work with one banner at a time. I'm not able to do this in a way that I can do them all at once because they're different colors. So it's easier for me if I just work with one at a time, and I think it'll be easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the banner. I'm actually going to ungroup this one, and I'm going to take this slice result right here and just delete it. I don't need it. The reason that I don't need it is because I don't need to score that part because that's the back piece. But I do need to score this piece, and I need to score this flag piece. So what I do is I'm going to take this flag banner piece and this E, right? So the easiest way for myself to do this is I'm going to take the banner piece, that's this one, this banner piece, and I'm going to change this from a basic cut to a foil. Now you'll see that it becomes an outline, which is exactly what I want it to do. I'm going to take the foil here, and I'm going to take the banner piece that's here, and I need to attach them. However, you'll notice that they're in a group, so I can't do that just yet. I need to ungroup everything that's within the group, so I just want to make sure I ungroup everything. So you may need to click ungroup a couple times, which is those little squares up here. Now I am keeping this E for just a second because we're going to use this E to create the score on the other one. But what you want to do is take the score line, which is this one that says medium foil, and you're going to take this pink flag piece and you are going to attach them. Now that I've done that, you'll notice that that E goes behind them, and that's okay. This is the E that we're going to cut out. But we're going to do the same thing here with this group. We're going to ungroup it until we have two pieces. I'm going to take the E and I'm going to change it over to foil. Now you'll again notice it becomes an outline. It doesn't matter that it's gold. It won't matter at all. Then I'm going to go ahead and select the E and the white banner, and I'm also going to attach those. Now I can line everything back up, and you'll see that it's all going to fit. Well, I need to put the E in the front. Let me go ahead and right click on that and send this to the front. And now you'll see that you have your banner. Now you're not going to see any of those lines that we just created because they're going to be score lines, meaning they're just going to be like a dent in the paper. Now, once I've done this, I can go ahead and select all these items and regroup them if I want to, just to make it a little bit easier to hide them so that they're out of the way. Because like I said, you have to make a couple copies just to make it work. So I'll bring in my next group, which is the V. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'll do one more so you can see how I do it. So I'm going to ungroup it and I'm going to duplicate. Once I've duplicated, I want to go ahead and get rid of the pink banner. We don't need it. Now again, we need to make sure that this is fully ungrouped. So I'm going to ungroup again so that I have my separate pieces. Now with this one, I'm going to take the red and I'm going to change it to the foil. I'm going to select the red that I changed to the foil, so the slice result, and attach it to the pink, and I'm going to click attach. Now again, that V will go to the back, and that's okay. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to change this V over here to a foil, and I'm going to select the V and the banner, and I'm going to attach them. Then again, I can line this up here, and you'll notice that that V is still behind everything. Just right click on it, bring it to the front, line it back up, and you don't even have to line them up. I'm just lining them up so you can see what it should look like. I'm going to select my items and I'm going to just go ahead and group them again just to make it easy to hide. Now I'm going to do the other two quickly so that we can get this done, but I think that this is really easy, and when you see kind of how it's easier to line it up this way, I think that you'll understand why we do it like this. I'd run 1,000 miles if I could run with you. Once I've got them all done, I'm going to go ahead and bring all of our groups back in, including the little hearts here. These are just like little spacers for in between your letters. So when you make this, it'll look like this, and I'll kind of get everything moved around so you can see it a little bit better. So then we'll have a heart here in between, and then you'll have the V with a little heart in between. You'll have the E. It's going to be going off the screen, but that's okay, with a little heart between, and then the heart over there. So once we're done here, I want to make sure that you save your design. So I'm going to save this as score banner so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. And once it is saved, we can hit the make button. Now again, make sure you have Joy Xtra selected and click make. Now we want to cut this on the mat for any material, so go ahead and click confirm. Now you'll see here, we're going to be using regular 8.5 by 11 cardstock. We're not using anything fancy. I might use some glitter for the little hearts, but we'll see. But what you're going to see here is, notice that you have letters here that look like they're written on your banners. And then here you have the little, what look like little banner pieces drawn into your other banners. And you'll have that over here. And that is where it's going to use the foil tool to score these. It's a great way to use that tool because the foil tool is so useful for more than just foiling. Now I'm going to cut these on whatever kind of cardstock I have. I don't know if I have these exact colors, but I'll try to find some cute colors. And like I said, I'll cut these ones probably on some glitter just to add a little pizzazz to it. But I'm going to go ahead over to the machine. I'm going to show you how to load it, how to load the foil tool, which is the only problem here is you're going to have to kind of unload it and reload it. But I think in the long run, if the Joy Xtra is your machine, this is worth it to make it easier for you to line stuff up. And if you ever need a score tool for any of your designs and you're using a Joy Xtra, this is an easy way around that since the Joy Xtra doesn't have a scoring tool. We're ready to get started with our scoring project. So I have all of the colors that we're going to use. I just picked some random ones that looked okay together. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to make sure that I have my foil tool because we'll need to install that first. So I'm going to pull my machine over so you can see. And what you'll do is you're going to remove the
fine point blade. Just open the clamp, pull that straight out, and set that over to the side. Then you're gonna take your foil tool, drop it in, and just close that clamp. Simple as that. Now we are gonna have to take the tool out, put the tool in for each page, which can be a bit of a pain, but if you only have the Joy and you need to score, this is how you do it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my paper onto my cardstock mat. And I'm just using a regular old Recollections paper, and I'm cutting it on the medium cardstock setting. So I'm gonna load this in. I'll go back over to my computer and tell this to go, and we'll just go ahead and switch out. I'll show you switching out the tool once, but then I'm just gonna cut everything quickly.
And from what I have heard, you do the same thing too.
Once it's done scoring, and it is a little tough to see the score lines on this, but once it's done scoring, you're gonna go ahead, open this clamp, and you're gonna switch your tool back out for the fine point blade, and you're gonna have to do that for each of your pages that need the scoring. Once you've switched out the tool, you can hit go again on the screen.
I wanna say forever, we could be good together. Guess we're
Once it's done with that portion, you can go ahead and unload your mat. We're gonna go ahead and do the same thing for each of our mats, and then I'll show you how to assemble it really quickly.
better too late than never. You know we could do better. So take a chance and run with me. Everywhere we go, we turn to paradise. All I know is that I need you in my life. Let me show you how it feels to roll the dice. You know you want it. Just say the word.
I don't know how well you can see them here on the screen, but there are those great score lines that are going to help us line everything up onto our little banners. I do wish I would have used a little bit of a heavier paper, but that's fine. This is just to show you how to use the scoring option here in the Cricut Joy machine. So what I'm going to do is kind of just lay these out. And what we'll do is line them up. Now you can use things like foam tape, glue sticks, kind of whatever you like. You can use double-sided tape. There are so many ways that you can do this. So I would say do whatever works best for you. I don't really care if these are sticking out a lot or anything, so I'm going to use the double-sided tape. Now, one thing I want you to note is which side your score line is on for your banner pieces, because obviously those are going to need to be on the outside so that you can see where you're going to place your letters. Doing it this way is just going to really help you get everything neat and even, and obviously make sure you've spelled everything correctly. I have not on the way these are laid out, so it's fine right now because obviously we can move the big banners around. But what I want to do, let me slide these guys out of the way, is I'm going to use those score lines that I put on here to help me make sure that all of my designs are going to sit nice and evenly on my banners. So I'm just lining up those little tails and pressing this down. Now I can put the E on here since I know that this is for the letter E. And my E is going to go right there. These colors are not amazing together, but it's fine. Like I said, I just did this so that we could see how everything was going to look. And this is not going to be like my finest put together banner. I really just want to show you how you use that score tool. So I'm just going to kind of get this put together and use those little score lines to help me get everything lined up neat and even. So let me go ahead, finish lining all of this up, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like right now. I'll go ahead and string it up so that you guys can see it, but using those score lines really makes a big difference.
I really want to try to show you the score lines, which I think you can see okay on this one if you look close enough, but it is really hard to capture them. But they do really help you when you're lining stuff up. So you can do this on lots of different projects, banners, cards, whatever it may be. But it also works really good if you're going to fold something. So if you're making like a box or you're making a card, whatever it may be, those score lines are so helpful. This one was really hard to see. I don't know why I even tried, but they make such a big difference. And using that foil tool is a great little hack that you can use to make your paper projects move so much quicker and easier. And especially if you don't have one of the larger machines and you still need to use those score lines for like a box or a card or whatever you may need to use them for, you can do that with the foil tool. Now I've linked everything that we've used down below to make it super easy for you to find everything you need to make this. If you have any questions, please let me know in those comments down below. Look at how cute this came out. I think it's really adorable, and I love the fact that everything is really nicely lined up, straight, and neat. Be sure you're subscribed here, that way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. And as always, happy crafting!